Alright, welcome back to part 3 of making a overlay for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournaments. Last time we left off after making multiple scenes. This one is the commentary scene. Looks pretty bland at the moment. It's gonna stay bland for a little bit, but the problem we're fixing today is when we change scenes, down here if I select the gameplay scene, go back to the overlay, nothing changed until we refresh, and then the game overlay appears. So what we're going to do first is add some transitions and animations to make sure that it actually changes when we change the scene. Okay, so we're going to have a look first at the documentation of the help section of streamedit.com. Here at the very bottom of the layout section we have transitions. There's two different types of transitions in StreamEdit overlays at the moment. One of them is when the data changes, and that's when, let's say, you change the player name to a new player name. Sometimes there can be like a fade out and fade in, which is what this bit of code here will do. And also you can do more complicated things like having it fly out the left of the screen and then come back in with a new name. And then there's scene change transitions, which basically means when you want to switch from, let's say, the commentator's scene to the player's scene, you'll have to use one of these type of transitions. There's a slightly different way of implementing both. We're going to start with maybe the data change transitions, because they're at the top. So we're actually just going to copy this code, paste it over in our code that we had last time, and let's see if it does anything after we save. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to load up the preview here, and I'm going to turn off my scene switcher for the moment. Stop. And I'm going to change the round name and see if there's any sort of transition or change. Nope, nothing happened. Okay, so let's figure out why that is. Why nothing happened. So let's have a look at this code here. So what this does is when the changing class is added to a data point, such as the round, the transition is that it will change the opacity for 0.5 seconds. And also, when it's changing, the opacity will be 0. So it will go from 100% or 1 to 0 in 0.5 seconds. Or at least in theory that's what should happen. But we also need to fade it back in to opacity 1 after it has changed. So that's what that bit here does as well. Firstly, I'm gonna change this bracket style to match the rest of the file, so everything's a little more cohesive. But just so I'm not exactly sure what's going on here and why it's not working, so I'm going to move on to scene transitions and see if that works. So we have some code here for scene change transitions. Let's copy that and paste that into our code as well. Okay, so again, the brackets. brackets always on a new line? They don't have to be. I just like them that way. Anyway, so basically we can define some animations, and that's what these at keyframes word means. And it goes from transform, translate, y, -100%. So all that garbage just means basically at the start of the transition it's gonna be at the top of the screen because it's gonna move in the y direction, which is up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's gonna go the whole width of the overlay, or the whole height of the overlay rather. And it's gonna go from that point into the actual ordinary position of the element, which is just where it always has been, which means we don't want to translate it anywhere, we don't want to move it anywhere. And the same thing goes for when you want to make it transition out instead of in. It's just the opposite, so basically these two values are switched between these two. Okay, and this doesn't do anything, this just defines what the animation will look like, and we actually have to implement it up here. So basically what this does, this code by itself without modifying it, is when the scene is set to cams, which I don't think we have a scene called cams, so we're going to have to change that. The data type equals tournament, so the tournament information will animate from the top into the frame, and when you change away from the cam scene, which is defined by transition out, the tournament information will go out to the top. And there's two values here. That's because one of them is how long the transition takes, and one of them is the delay between the transitions. So let's just say you want to wait 0.2 seconds before the next thing happens, just to give everything time. If you have multiple transitions, you say you have one element going out the top, one element going out the side, and you want one to be after the other, that's what this delay property here can be used for. Okay, so we're going to have to rename this. It's not called cams, let's call this game. Let's copy that. And we're not even displaying the tournament information, so that's kind of useless. We're actually going to rename this to round, probably, or rounds, because that is something that is on the gameplay screen. Okay. And also, we probably don't want to make it go out to the top. We probably want to make it go out to the left, because that's, if we have a look at our gameplay screen here, the pro bracket text would probably look better to go out of the left of the screen than the top. So, to change that, it's pretty simple. Instead of the y-axis here, we probably just want to make it use the x-axis instead, because that'll make the movement horizontal. So I'm not going to modify this, I'm actually going to copy it and paste it and modify this copied version. Instead of saying in from top, let's say in from left. Okay. Same goes for this one down here. Let's now change these Y's to X's. And now we've just defined some new animations that we can use up here. So Now instead of in from top, we can go in from left, copy that. And instead of out to top, we can go out to left. You can mix and match, you don't have to go in and out in the same direction, but just keeps things more cohesive. Now that'll do something only if we transition in to a different scene. We've only defined transitions for the games scene. We might actually want to do it for more than one scene, because otherwise nothing will transition in. So let's copy all this as well. Add a new rule and say, do this also on the player's scene. And we'll do the same thing for transition out as well. Again, you can mix and match, which we might be doing later. Pac-Man music is the best, dude. What is wrong with you? This is my jam! Anyway. Let's copy the player's scene as well. Now, hopefully this will work. I can't guarantee, because as we saw, this didn't work earlier for some reason, so let's just hope this code works. Let's switch on the preview. It could also be that it's disconnected from the internet, so I'm gonna refresh it just in case that's the case. Let's turn off the scene switcher. Stop. Okay. Here goes nothing. So I'm gonna change the scene now to players. Oh, look at that. It worked, kind of. See, there is a slight problem. It doesn't go all the way out. It only goes halfway out. Maybe we should fix that. But I'm glad something works. Let's try doing the data as well. Let's try changing the score. Oh, it works. Sweet. Maybe I did just need a refresh. Man, who knows? Let's try changing the round. Oh, it does work. Yeah, maybe I just needed a refresh. Cool. So now we have some data transitions, as well as some barely working scene transitions. Cool stuff. Okay, let's get back to business. Turn the scene switcher back on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm using the scene switcher feature of OBS. So basically, if I just click on this program, this scene will pop up where it has Chrome in full screen. If I click over here, it will be the program Sublime Text in full screen. So thanks OBS. There's letters on the screen. Yeah, I know. That's incredible stuff. Okay. So what I think we should do now is, instead of it going in from the left only halfway, let's make it go the full way. So a way we can kind of cheat is just increase this value. Instead of making 100%, maybe 150 or 200. Let's just see if that works. Let's switch to the preview. And this is going to be hard turning off and on this scene switcher all the time. Okay, let's check whether it goes all the way out. No, it still doesn't go all the way out. However, I don't think I refreshed it, so let's try doing that first. Your internet connection can only handle 300. How do you watch anything? It's like 3,500. Anyway, let's just refresh. I mean, I could drop the bitrate, but if you only got 300, I doubt it will help. It's grim. Okay, let's see how it goes. Oh yes, look at that. All the way out, all the way in. Sexy stuff. The scores and that, they don't transition at all. So maybe let's work on them. Okay. So we still have our in from top and out to top transitions here. So I'm actually going to copy them again. Because the scores are at the bottom of the screen, let's add some bottom transitions. Okay, so we still want to go in the y-axis, but we kind of want to go in the opposite direction. So instead of negative, we're going to have positive 100%. We might have to do the same thing where we go 150, and in fact I will do that. Okay, so now we have some bottom transitions. Let's see if we can make them apply to the scores and players, etc. So that first set of transitions applies to the rounds only. So let's change this stuff. Instead of rounds, let's put teams. And let's copy the bottom transition names. So it might be easier just to copy the text bottom. Let's paste that instead of left. Save that. Okay. Turn off the scene switcher. It is off. Never mind. Never turned it back on. Okay, let's change the scene. It didn't refresh properly. Okay, let's refresh then. Nope, still not working. Did I refresh it properly? Nope, it is not working. Okay, let's investigate. So the transition names are correct. And everything seems to be correct in theory. Let's see if the left transition works on the teams. let's go. Oh, so the left transition works. Why is bottom being useless? To be honest, the left doesn't even look that bad. We could just keep it as the left, but I think for the sake of all this work that we did to copy and paste it so that it would work for the bottom as well, I think we have to do this now. Okay, so what on earth is going wrong here? I can't see anything wrong with those transition names. Let's see if the top transition works. I'm actually just going to turn this off here on the code screen. Where is it? Preview. Turn that off, and that way it should refresh every time I open up the preview screen, which it did. Very good. Okay, so it looks like translate Y might be the problem, because left is working but top and bottom are not working. So that is interesting. Let's see if we can make a right transition and whether that will work. So the same process as before, rename it to right. And I think all we need to do is remove the negative signs to make it go in the opposite direction. So let's save that. Preview. Okay. That also doesn't work. Probably because I didn't even I didn't even change it from top. Gotta change that. Let's grab right. Change these. Save. Okay, so everything in the horizontal direction works. But what about the vertical direction? It's just says no. It's just like, no, sorry dude, we don't want this to work. But that's not gonna fly. So something's different because we've got the letter Y there. How could that possibly be different? Okay, to be absolutely sure that is the problem, I'm going to rename all of these Y's to X's. Actually, it'd probably be wiser to do it in the bottom transition. Okay, save that. Now, even though the transition is called in from bottom and out to bottom, let's see if it goes out to the right, and it does. So it like actually, it just doesn't like the letter Y. What on earth is happening here? All I did was change these Y's to X's. If I change them back to Y, save, preview, there's no transition. What is happening? Well, let's get good old-fashioned Chrome Inspector up to see why Translate Y is doing nothing. So, let's grab this code here, copy and paste. Well, I'm gonna copy it, open up the overlay editor in Chrome. I'm going to inspect this, right click, inspect, Teams, let's find Teams, here it is. Okay, if I paste this here, nothing should happen, right? I didn't copy the right thing. I need to copy the whole transform query. Yes, okay, nothing happens. That's interesting. Doesn't matter what value I change here, nothing of the position of this changes. So what happens if I do an absolute position instead of percentages? Let's say I do pixels. Okay, so pixels changes it. That is interesting. So it's something to do with whatever the percentage symbol means in the context of vertical movement instead of horizontal movement. So that gives us a clue as to why that's happening. Let's go back over to the code. And instead of putting percentage symbols, I'm probably just gonna put... Okay. I'm going to put VW instead of percentage. And I'm going to change it to 50. The VW unit means viewport width, so it's the same thing kind of as percentage, except it does it over the whole width of the overlay instead of relative to whatever like its parent element is. So it should be more consistent anyway. So let's have a look and see if the transitions are working now. Okay, it's going in from the bottom and it's coming out from the bottom. Very good. Okay. So actually, also let's turn on the reference image as well, just so we can get a feel for how it might look. Refresh. Okay, that is not correct. I need to turn on singles instead of doubles. And let's change the scene. Oh, look at that. So it's the gameplay screen, player screen. Well then. That's some pretty good progress for now. I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'll be back momentarily. Okay, so at the moment we have some transitions for the game screen and the player's screen, other way around, but we don't have any for the commentator's scene. And now it's stuck on the commentator's scene because I haven't defined any transitions. So let's get to work on that then. So instead of just being boring and having both commentators come in from the bottom like it did with the players, I think it would be cooler if we had one commentator coming from the left, one coming from the right. Let's give that a go. First, we have to copy this. Actually, technically, we don't even have to rewrite this rule because we already have something coming in from the left. So let's just add a comma here. Copy this. Now, instead of rounds, we'll put commentators. Okay. Now that would be great if we wanted both commentators to move at the same time. But we don't, we want each commentator to move individually. So what I'm actually going to do is make it so that it targets a single commentator instead. And to make sure it targets the first commentator specifically, I'm going to put first dash child. And that'll make sure it targets only the first commentator will come in from the left. The other one will do nothing at the moment because we haven't talked about it yet. Also, there's some situations where you might have more than two commentators, so we will probably look at handling them a bit later. So we need to copy that and add the transition out as well as the transition in. Like that. So that'll be the first commentator. Now, let's handle the second commentator. So we don't want to have the rounds in this query. So let's get rid of them. Instead of first child, we're actually going to put last child, because even though there's only two commentators, the last one is equivalent to the second one. So let's paste that here. Instead of from the left, we want to have it come in from the right. Save that. Let's check if this works. Did that not refresh, or did I do something wrong? Okay, I see what I did wrong. So instead of the commentator's scene, I have only made it effect on the player's scene, which doesn't even have commentators on it. So let's make sure it's on the commentator's scene that stuff is actually happening. Save this, let's check it again. Okay. So we have Commentator 2 doing its thing, which is good. Commentator 1 is kind of stuck for some reason. Possibly to do with percentages again. So what I'm actually going to do is convert all of these to VW units instead of percentages. And hopefully that should make everything work a little more consistency. This will also make the speed of the animation consistent. It'll just only not work when it's halfway across the screen, when it's over halfway across the screen. So if I want to like transition something from the left side of the screen all the way to the right side, then I'm gonna have to rewrite these animations, and instead of the value 50 I'll put the value 100. The reason I'm keeping it at 50 at the moment is because basically there'll be a big delay if something's right at the edge of the screen and I make it go out of the screen. And if I say 100%, it's going to go all the way out of the screen, and it's going to take a while. So we want to keep things on the screen unless we have to. So let's go back to the preview. Hopefully this will work now. Oh, hell yeah. So we got one commentator moving. The first commentator still being difficult. So let's fix that. What's going on with this first commentator? I didn't change the scene on them either. That's the problem. Still stuck on the player's scene. So let's save this. Now it should work. Preview. Boom. Commentators. Out to the sides. One to the left, one to the right. Hell yeah. Okay. I think I'll do the same thing with the teams actually. That worked out quite well. It looks much cooler. Instead of coming in from the bottom. Like that. So let's get to work on that. So in here we've defined which things should go out and in from the bottom. One of them is the teams on the player's scene, and one of them is the teams on the game's scene. So let's grab the teams on the player's scene. We want them to go up here instead. Now this kind of works in the same way as well. So we got, instead of targeting both teams, we should want to target a single team, and in this case the last team or the second team, which is the same thing. So let's copy this to both of these, and let's also copy it to the first team as well as the second team. And remember to rename it to first instead of last. Oops, what have I done? So I'm getting the pinwheel of death. No, wait. Oh, I accidentally refreshed the browser. Okay, all fixed. Let's check if that worked. Let's go to preview. change the scene to commentators? Yeah, okay. It doesn't look quite as cool on the player's scene because the round name goes out to the left, as well as the second player. So later we might even have a delay, so we might make the round come in first, or maybe the players come in first before the round. Just so everything's kind of a little bit different. But yeah, we got some pretty decent animations going on here. Okay. What I'll actually do is I'll go to code. I will copy what I just did, and then I will undo everything that I just did. Cool. And now I have the option, if I paste it back, I now have the option to either go out from the bottom or the left and right. So I can comment out whichever one I don't want to use. So at the moment I kind of want to keep it back to the bottom. So I'm going to get rid of these for now. I currently don't have any art for it. That'll be coming in later streams, probably. It's kind of bare bones stuff at the moment. But basically, I want to have it integrate into the layout. So where the scores are right now, it's gonna be hopefully more like, see that red diamond that's encasing Snake's head? I kind of want to extend that diamond to include the score there. And I also maybe want to have a larger diamond off to the left to have like the player cam or something. So yeah, and there's also another image here for the doubles layout, if I can show that in a minute, that basically shows what I want the round art to look like. First I'll just have a look at whether these transitions are back to the way I wanted them to be. Yep. Commentators coming from the left to right, players coming from the bottom, round comes in from the left. Cool. I am actually going to hide this reference image for now, and I'll show you the doubles. See, this is what Nintendo had for the rounds in the top left there, when they did their invitational. I kind of want to replicate something similar to that. So yeah, let's move on to something else. I think, so I've handled the doubles event. I've moved the position of the scores and whatnot, but I haven't handled the crew battles event. So I'm going to give that a go now. So at the moment, let's move over to the browser screen. If I change this to crews, the crew battles, and if I add a bunch more players, let's say player 2, player 5, player 4, player 6. Okay, so there's 3 people per crew. And let's see what it looks like when I move to the preview. Obviously nothing changes here, but on the other scene, I think... yeah, it's a little messed up. See, all the players are stacked on top of each other. The score is well out of the bottom of the screen. That's not good. So let's change that. Let's go to the code. So let's find out where I handled the doubles event, wherever that is. Let's just Command F it. Doubles. Teams. Teams is what it's called. I keep forgetting. Okay. So, this is for when the event is not teams. So I think that's to do with the scores, is it? No? Alright, let's find out where... here we are. When the event is set to teams, the player names flex, which means they'll go side by side. Here. So I want to add that the cruise event as well as the teams event. So maybe the easiest way to do that would be to copy this from up here. Instead of saying do both the teams and the cruise events, I'm just going to say do not singles. So instead of teams, I'm going to say not, and then I'm going to put singles here. And I'm going to do the same for a lot of this stuff. Paste that here. Okay, save that. Let's see how it looks in the preview. Okay, so that's slightly better. We have the players side by side. The scores are currently on the screen. That shouldn't be here at the moment. Like that. That's what it should look like. This isn't exactly how I want it to look in the end, because actually the cruise event works a little bit differently to teams, whereas basically only one player is going to be on the screen at the time. So one of the players' names is going to be bigger. It's like, this is this player, and the other players are just like on their crew, kind of thing. So I could actually do something along that effect now, which I could actually just increase the font size of the first player of the team, just to kind of give the effect of what I want, instead of making it look like what I envision it look like in the end. So let's go back to the code. Let's find out. Okay, so I'm referencing the first team here, but what I want to do is actually reference the first player of each team. So where is this? I think I'll have to make a new rule for that. So let's copy this stuff, paste some new rules, and instead of not singles, I probably want to target only the cruise event this time. And instead of targeting the first team, I want to target all teams. And instead, actually target the first player of each team. So instead of teams here, I'm going to write players. Actually, I probably don't even need this second rule, do I? And let's make the font size here. Let's make it 2 times the normal font size. So that's 2 REM. Save that. Let's check out how it looks in the preview. Okay, so it looks terrible, but it works. So the first player on each crew is highlighted by having their name be massive. Always good. And if they get defeated, another player comes in and subs in their spot. Now, I'm actually gonna completely erase that, more or less, and just leave the template there for later, so I can do what I actually want to the first player. Maybe I'll just make it about 1.1 times the font size. That'll probably just make things look slightly better. But another thing I actually want to do is look at the documentation here. Let's go browser. And let's have a look at the defeated class. So basically, if a player is defeated in a crew battle, you can put a line through their name. So we're going to copy this, paste it in our code. Let's go crews. Let's keep everything in kind of the same area. Put the brackets on the new line, and I think that should work already because it's got everything that I need. Let's save that. Let's go to preview once again. The font size is slightly better. It's not massive anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, player 1, they dead. They died. Look, they've got a strike through their name already. That's all it took. Copy and paste some code. Easy stuff. Stream Edit. Get it now. Okay, another thing I want to do is only have the Twitter, probably not even have the Twitters show up when it's the cruise event, just because there's not going to be much room, possibly. We kind of want to avoid having too much on the screen at once. So I'm going to make another rule for the cruise event here. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to say, I think I actually have a better way of doing this, so we might do that later though. At the moment, we're just going to keep things simple. I'm going to say data type equals Twitter. And actually, I'm just going to move this up to where I say display none. So the stuff that I want to remove is pretty much all in one place. This is all the stuff I've removed, all the conditions that I want to remove data from each stream scene. And I'll add a new condition here, which is in the event cruise, don't show people's Twitters. So let's save that. Let's go to preview, see if that worked, and that it did. The defeated players thing still works. By the look of it. Cool. Well, player 6, they didn't just get defeated, they died. They are off the screen somehow. Yeah, now they're back, but player 4 is gone. I think it's probably due to the fact that if I go and show you the browser scene, I have 6 players on each screw and 3 of them are blank. So that probably has something to do with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to do for this stream in particular. Going for almost an hour. Let's just have a look at the scenes, see how they're looking. So it's the gameplay scene. I don't know why the scores are so off here. It's probably because I have told them to be different for the singles event instead of not the teams event. So let's find singles. Okay. I have data event not singles. I think that's it for the singles on this page. Yeah, there's only 5 occurrences. So why are all the scores so messed up? So I have data event not teams here. And that makes... That should be fine. I don't know what's going on, so let's go to the preview. If I change the event to singles, everything changes. Interesting. That's possibly due to the fact that I'm not hiding everything of each player. I'm not quite sure about that one, but we might move on to that in a later stream. Let's see if there's anything else I want to do today. We probably might make the commentators, their names, a little bit bigger. Yeah, okay. I have something I want to do. So I'll make the player names a bit bigger and the commentators' names a bit bigger. But only on the scenes that do not include gameplay. Or more accurately, not on the scene that has full screen gameplay. So let's find out where this stuff is. I think I'm gonna have to make a new rule. Go here. Let's copy and paste this. Okay, so on the scene players, and I probably want to put and the scene commentators as well, but not the game scene. So for players, actually I could do this in even fewer queries than I thought, because players and commentators are both people, or persons as they're called in Stream Meta, just to make pluralization much easier. But basically I can put person and the direct child name. So I want the person's name to be a larger font size, but everything else to be the normal font size. So person's name, I want to copy this as well, and put it on the commentator scene as well. And I want the font size to be 1.5. Sounds alright. Let's save that. Let's see how it looks. Okay. You know, maybe it's a little big. Let's change it to 1.4. Don't know if it changed, but I think that might be a little better. Game scenes normal. This scene's better. And the commentator names are also bigger, which is very good. Okay. I think I might be just about done for this stream. I'll just go over everything that we did. We had some transitions, very nifty. We also have some data transitions. Actually, I'll do one more thing. Maybe. So at the moment, if I change the name of the round, it fades in and out like that, which is what I might want it to do for the scores, but for the round I might actually want it to come in and out from the left like it does on the scene transition. So let's quickly see if I can do that. We have... Let's see where I define the transition. So here, this just applies to every data that changes on the scene. So let's copy this, and let's add something more specific. So, let's go down to our out to left transition. Let's copy this line here. So when it's changing, I want it to move out of the screen 50%, and I want the property that's transitioned to be transform. I haven't tested this before, but I'm hoping that it'll still work. So we have to specify what exactly we want to be transitioning. So let's go, what was it? The round name, probably. So data type equals rounds, here we are. Copy that. Changing. Yeah, I think this is the order that I want it to be in. So anything that's inside the rounds element that has the changing class added to it will transition in this way instead of this way. So let's try that. Save. That's a lot of jump frames. Wow, okay. Let's go to preview. Let's see if this works. Okay, that's interesting. So the transition in works fine, but the transition out does not work. That's interesting. Wonder what's going on here. So when it's changing, basically it'll move the round name out of the picture. and when it's changed. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. So I need to add a transform property to this as well, the changed event. So, God, what is this multiple cursor business? Okay. So I have a changed and a changing. Let's add this and say basically when it's changed, take it back to the default translate value, which is 0. Obviously, it's not a default property to have transform be this, so I'm going to have to define it myself, which I just did. Hopefully this fixes the issue. Preview. Okay, so if I change the round name, that didn't fix it. Interesting. Now encoding overload as well. Oh dear. Okay, let's refresh. See if it still doesn't work. Okay. I don't know why that doesn't work. I thought I just fixed it. What happens if I remove all this? It should go back to doing the opacity thing. But what happens if I make it not specific to the rounds? What if I make it so that it applies to everything? Let's see if it can work for the scores and whatnot. Okay, save that. Let's go to preview. Interesting. So it seems to only be working on the transition in instead of this transition out. I wonder why that is. Because if I go back to the code, and if I remove this and go to preview, and if I change something now, it transitions out properly. Like it fades in and it fades out. So I don't know why when I try to do it with a transform command, it all of a sudden doesn't want to work. Yes, that's quite interesting. I'm just gonna try removing this entirely here and see if that changes anything. It does. What? So that was the problem then? Yeah, so now it's So it's because I already defined a transition property. I can only assume that was the problem. Because when I have both, it doesn't like it. It doesn't say, it says like, hey, you've already defined a transition property for changed. It's opacity. I'm not gonna do that. So I'd either have to specify everything that I want that's not a round name changing, or I'd have to say if it's changing, and I'd have to say if changing and also not round name, then do opacity. Otherwise, do this thing that I defined for the round name. So, I think... should I do that? Changing... trying to think if there's a better way to do this. Okay. Let's see if I write not rounds name. Okay. This is a little complicated to be scalable, but let's just see if this works at all first. Preview. Okay, so if I change the score, nothing happens. Already off to a good start. Let's change the round name. Okay, the round name works. So why doesn't it work here? Why doesn't it work for the scores if I say if something's changing and it's also not a round name, then do this. Because the round name this definitely should match the scores. Can you put a space in a not query? I'm sure you can. Let's just see if the space is the problem. I kinda doubt it is. But let's eliminate that possibility. Yeah, I don't know, it's not transitioning at all. But the round name is. So what I'll probably just actually, instead of have everything in this not query, I'm just gonna have this. Get rid of all of that, and I'm gonna have the scores have their own little transition. And this transition is going to be exclusive to scores now instead of everything that's not a round name. Actually, that means I would have to put data type equals number instead of round name. Let's save that. Now, hopefully this works. Because in theory it should. It doesn't. Oh wait, yes it does. It's just really slow because my computer is like overloaded. So the scores fade in and fade out, and the round should still go in and out from the left. Cool. Okay, well that's what I wanted to happen. An unfortunate side effect of that is that if I want to change a player name, then there's no transition, no change. Unless I wanted to find the transition for everything, like literally have so many lines just saying data type equals number, data type equals player name, data type equals commentator, character type, which is not sustainable. So at the moment I'm just gonna comment out this data transition until I actually get to the point where I want to make specific transitions for specific data types, which will be later down the track in making this layout. So I'm also gonna get rid of this for the moment and have it just so that it's fading in and out everything, including the round name. Let's go to the preview. So now the round name should fade in and out, and so should the scores. Alright, cool. So it's probably going to do it for this stream. I have done some scene transitions and some data transitions. So if you want to see more of this layout making process, make sure to follow the stream, and hopefully we'll get into some more making the layout actually look half decent instead of just some text plastered on the screen. But yeah, thanks to anyone who came in, watched, and chatted. It's good. Alright. See you next time.